brand new Q&A. So here's what you're going to want to do. Okay, if you want to get in on Q&As, whether it's Q&As on my podcast Talks with Taeler Hendrix every Tuesday or QnA Wednesday on my YouTube channel, you're going to want to hit the link on one of the slides here. You're going to go to youtube.com/@TaelerHendrix. You're going to hit the subscribe button, you know, just because. You're going to scroll down the videos to the latest QnA Wednesday video, hit the thumbs up button, help us out a little bit in the algorithm, and then comment below that video with your question for your chance to be featured on not only this podcast, but also my YouTube channel, and potentially even the live stream podcast every Friday at 1 with myself and Vince Russo, the brand live. It could be a three for free. You never know, but it's definitely a double whammy, and you never know when I'm going to pick your question. So go ahead, hit the subscribe button, scroll down to QnA Wednesdays, hit the thumbs up button, and then comment below on that video with your chance to be featured with your question. So without any further ado, here we go. All right. One person who's been on my YouTube channel for a while now asked me, how did I get my red hair? Now, my first response was a little sassy. I wanted to be like, yo, I popped out of the womb all red everything. That was my first reaction. I can be a little sassy. I'm not going to lie. When I'm you can take the girl out of Boston, but you can't take the Boston out of the girl, I guess is what I would say. But considering I didn't pop out of the womb, I was cut out of the womb, I guess I really can't say that. So what I'll say is I have had any sort of version of red hair since I was 13 years old. A lot of people like to think like I only, you know, dyed my hair like on the latter part of my career, but to be honest, I've had red hair off and on since I was 13 years old. It's, you know, my mom looked at me and she was like, she's like, I really feel like you should have been born with red hair. And, you know, my mom figured if dyeing my hair a fun color was the worst thing I ever did in life, then she said, you know what, that means I must have been a pretty darn good parent. And I tend to agree. So I have had red and orange hair pretty much off and on since I was 13. I think my junior banquet, I had like this really cool hair. It was so cool. My mom used like paintbrushes to do this. And so we had red, magenta, orange, and yellow. And so when we curled my hair for my junior banquet, it looked like flames. It was super cute. And I got like this Madonna-esque 50s thrift store dress at a local thrift store. And I sewed this like lace fringe around the bottom. It looked so cute. I looked so like gothic rockabilly retro. It was so cute. So yeah, long story made even longer. I have had red hair for like off and on for like 20 years. The only time I really have not had red hair is when other people have messed it up, which was a huge problem. Like my last appearance ever at TNA, in person, my hair looked like a purple black, and that was because a hair salon I had went to messed up. I asked for like cherry cola streaks to go in my bright red hair, and like they dyed my whole head. It looked like black, but you couldn't tell because the HD lighting distorts colors so much on their TV program at that time, which was really, really funny because I looked like an Oompa Loompa with black hair in person. It was so bad. It was so bad. I can tell a whole story on that. And like, if you can't laugh at yourself, then what are you doing? You have to laugh, you know, you just gotta laugh. Another person on my YouTube channel asked me my opinion about like the male gaze drama. So I'm wondering if they're talking about all of these stupid pretend influencer girls that are recording dudes at the gym and like overreacting if they gaze their way. I'm assuming that's what they're asking about. I don't know for sure, so I'm just gonna go with that's what they're asking me about. And my honest opinion is I think it's BS. I honestly think it's BS. Like, a person glanced your way. You know, if I told you right now, don't think about purple elephants, and I go, what are you thinking about? Chances are you're probably going to be thinking about a purple elephant because I just told you not to. You know, it's like somebody that gets like a tattoo on their face, right? And then like, don't look at my face. Well, I mean, you have a tattoo on your face. It's kind of drawing. I'm having a bad bangs day. It's drawing your attention to your face. And that's what I think about this whole male gaze drama at the gym. Like, listen, I am a girl, and if I see you're wearing like hot shorts and you know, basically a see-through sports bra and you're running around and everything, I'm going to look, and that's not even my thing. So like, if like, I think it's BS. I think it's BS, and I'm glad some of those people are being called out because they should. I don't think it's fair to men. And like, if you're specifically going to the gym to capture that, I think it's even more BS. Like, just get a real job at that point. Like, just get a real job instead of trying to demonize innocent men. Like, I do not subscribe to that. That is my opinion. Another person asked me, what is my advice for someone who's starting out as a writer? My advice would be don't stop writing. Even if you think an idea is crap, keep it, because you never know. I am so sorry. I'm going to be doing this throughout the episode. My bangs are just driving me really crazy today. So I apologize, but you know, bear with me here. Do not stop writing. Do not stop. Even if you think it's a bad idea, don't stop, because you never know, like sometime down the road or with different life perspective and different things kind of hit different at different times. You know, sometimes when you listen to a song or you watch a movie and you're just like, it's okay. And then like a couple years later you watch it and then you're like, oh wow, this is so good. And it's probably because you've gone through stuff as a person since the first time you saw it or first time you listened to it. That's kind of like writing. You never know if you're going to come back to that really idea that you thought was crap and then it could end up being a bestseller. You don't know. So never stop writing. Always bring around like a tiny little notebook or have like a note app on your phone or whatever your situation is, and just jot things down and just try to work through those ideas. And remember, I say this to you guys all the time, but it's because I genuinely believe it and I live my life by this. Okay, you got to believe in yourself before anyone else will. Okay, you got to cheer for yourself in the silence and let your success be your noise. If you can't believe in yourself as a writer, how do you expect, you know, a major publishing conglomerate to believe in you? You know, and they're going to be putting millions of dollars to market you and stuff, but you can't, you know, believe in yourself for a little bit. That's kind of BS. So you really got to believe in yourself, and you have to understand that there's not really a lot of money to be made in writing on the lower scale. So you gotta figure out how to fast track. The more you put out, the more opportunities you are to get paid. Okay. And sometimes you have to understand that if something is your passion, sometimes you need to excel at something else so then that thing can pay for your passion. A lot of people today think that they're entitled to be wealthy or they're entitled to be successful simply because they followed their passion. But the world owes you nothing, and just like the pro wrestling industry owes you nothing. It'll go on with or without you. So you gotta earn what you get. You know, it's not an I deserve thing. That's such a sense of entitlement, okay? You got to put your foot out there. You've got to be consistent, and you got to understand that just because you decided to follow your passion doesn't mean everyone should bend over backwards for you. Sometimes you need to do something else so then that something else can fund your passion and it can fuel your passion. So then you can be your own publisher or your own marketer, or you can, you know, make your own giant blog and then be your own boss and write about whatever you want. It really all depends. But as far as advice, do not stop writing. Do not stop writing, and always believe in yourself. If something's really just crap and you're just not liking it, just put it aside and then start working on something else. I have 10 books going on in my head at any given time. I come up with ideas, and if I don't write them down, I lose them. So I'm always writing things down. Do not stop writing. And also try stream of consciousness. We did that in high school for AP English. The first part of the first like 5 or 10 minutes of the class was literally, we were not allowed to lift our pen from the paper. We just had to keep writing with whatever thoughts came to our head. And that was called the stream of consciousness. I found that very, very helpful. And some of the stuff I wrote down in high school, in my junior year in high school for AP class, ended up becoming certain parts of something that I'm working on now to be published. So that is a lot of what I would say. You don't need the best equipment to start off. You don't need to put yourself in debt to just start off at level 1. You know, use what you've got, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, my first book, there was a couple spelling errors, grammar errors. Kids, you know, I wrote children's books. Kids don't need you to be perfect. Kids just need to see you doing it. And I think that that goes for adults too. We always postpone happiness and success and all these different accolades because we need the perfect set of this, the perfect case of this, the perfect circumstances. Perfection does not truly exist. It varies from person to person because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, just like perfection, and reality is relative because it varies from person to person. My first book, I wrote it on my cell phone. I didn't have a fancy app. I didn't have a fancy computer, nothing. My first podcast episode, I didn't have a lighting rig. I had just bought a background. I didn't know how to do anything, but I was betting on myself, and I would learn along the way. You just gotta get your foot going. You gotta get started. All right, next question. Another person asked me my thoughts on a Rhea Ripley tweet that was RT'd, retweeted by Damian Priest, and it was something to do, I guess, along the lines of a hard line with fans and something about signing autographs and things. I didn't see it, so I'm only going based off of the information the person gave me when they asked this question. I like Rhea Ripley a lot, and I got to work a little bit with Damian Priest at Ring of Honor when we were both there at Ring of Honor, and I have nothing but good things to say about him. I never had issues with him. We worked really well together for the little bit of time that we got to. I think that would have been an awesome storyline. So yeah, I like both of them. And what I'm gathering about this tweet that I didn't see is it has something to do with, you know, putting a firm line not to cross with fans, I guess, wanting multiple autographs and stuff that aren't personalized, so apparently they can sell them. That's a big problem. A lot of times when I am at conventions or things like that, I will always ask for a personalization, like, oh, who do you want me to write this to? That's a really good way to prevent someone from automatically selling your stuff for them to make money at your expense on the hard work that you put into your brand and your name and your work ethic. That is becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger problem. And obviously WWE, this is how they make their money. So they don't want other people taking away that opportunity to make money off of the stars that they have put thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. I mean, when you consider the marketing budget for WWE plus the salary of each superstar, you know, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars that WWE a year plugs into each superstar. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of effort. That's a lot of, that's not chump change is my point. I guess I'm making, it's my material point. So I do think it's messed up that fans try to do that. You know, and then they also asked me, have I ever had experiences like they have with like being chased or followed or whatever, be it the airport, the hotel, etc. I have had some of those same experiences. I had somebody follow me to my car, which was a really scary experience. I had some people follow me to my hotel. I had somebody contact the promoter and tell them that I said it was okay for them to be put onto my listing of my room, which was not okay, and I did not approve that, and I have no idea how that went down. Thankfully, the promoter had enough, you know, presence of mind to ask me that in advance, because that would have been a terrifying situation. I have had people try to come into my hotel rooms and all kinds of other stuff. That's why you always have to be aware of your surroundings, be aware of different things that are going on. I think I briefly touched on that a couple weeks ago when someone asked me advice for wrestlers and stuff like that. I think I did briefly touch on that. And I think on this podcast, I also talked about this after that really scary situation happened with Taya Valkyrie at a hotel room of hers. I think like within the last like 6 to 8 months or so. Like time goes so fast for me, I don't really remember. So yeah, without actually seeing the tweet, I can only guesstimate based on the information I've been told. But yes, I have had some scary things like that happen to me. It's not fun. So fans, like, these are real people, but you also have to remember your actions could potentially get them fired from their dream jobs, and that's not okay. And so, you know, there's a certain amount of etiquette that both the professional wrestler and the fans should both follow. Like, don't send merchandise to be signed for you to their home addresses. Don't show up at their home addresses. Like, just stop. And if they can only sign one photo for you or none at all, just understand that that's probably not them doing it. That's probably a code that's put in place because of other people abusing, you know, those situations. That's what I would say. And me asking to, you know, who should I sign, you know, this 8x10 to or whatever, a veteran actually taught me that for this very reason, for people trying to sell these to make money off of yada, yada, yada. Another person asked me, who are some people on the indies that I would sign? I love this question. So I am fresh off of a Lucha Patron show that just happened over the weekend. It was so awesome, guys. I hope that you guys go onto Lucha Patron's Instagram and see some of like the clips and the footage and the photos. It is such a killer, amazing crowd. It's like only something in America anyway. It's only something you would find, you know, with Lucha Patron in Santa Rosa. It is awesome. They have such a stacked roster, and honestly, it has been so cool to kind of branch out my skills behind the scenes, you know, helping, you know, up and coming talent and helping put the cards together, or helping them just, you know, elevate themselves with all of the stuff that they already possess that maybe somebody with a creative eye needs to kind of tweak to make them be in an even better light than they already are. Like, I love that stuff. It's something I've always wanted to do, with helping with promos and gimmicks and overall presentation and stuff. Like, to me, it's just so cool. Like, creating those moments within a story in a match at a live event for television, there is nothing like it. Like, to me, that's been such an amazing experience. And so if I was signing people, and I would only do this if I had an actual distribution deal and a television deal, because, you know, marketing and all this other stuff is expensive, and a lot of channels do not want anything to do with wrestling. So it's actually very hard and very problematic to get really good lucrative deals. So a lot of these would be contingencies, you know, depending upon what type of deal, which obviously they didn't express. But I would say Santana Garrett, I could do a lot of great things with her. I would probably sign Viva Van and Vipress as a tag team. I think that would be really, really cool. I would definitely want to sign Mercedes Martinez. I think there's a lot of stuff I could do with her. I could definitely do some really cool stuff with Jordan Blue. I think that she is just needing the right kind of mentor, and I really feel like I could do that for her. I see a lot of different things in her that I don't even know if she realizes she possesses. Let me see here. I would want to sign a veteran, as like a veteran position to help me in the back, as well as to be on camera, whether that be potentially Lisa Marie Varon or even Jazz, because I absolutely love Jazz. Love her. I would probably sign RJ Santos. I think like he is just a hidden secret in California. Like I've seen him do some things that I have never seen, and that's not easy. I've seen a lot. I finally got to see Wicked Wicked. Really, really cool stuff. It's kind of like Will-O-the-Wisp meets like Blue Beetle meets Lucha Libre. So cool. Such a cool gimmick. I would definitely sign Big Fonz. I think there's a lot of potential for him in the very near future. Definitely would sign Judiz. I think like he's finally starting to head in a really great creative direction for himself, and I think like coming up real soon, he's going to explode with the confidence he is building and the steps he is taking towards the creative aspects of his gimmick and how it translates from his entrance all the way through his matches. Like, I think that there's so much talent there. Yeah, there's so many, yeah, there's so many. I would need to make a list. Like I would also pick Eva Lise. I think that there's so much that that she can do that she has not been like allowed to do, and I would really want to set her free. I would also definitely want to take some girls from CMLL and AAA, because there is a plethora of talent down there. It is insane. Those girls work so hard to have, you know, the label of luchadora, and to me there's so much respect and tradition in that. Let me see here. There's so many names and faces running through my mind that I'm thinking to myself, who do I think I could really do something special with on TV that's not currently signed right now? So, I would love to come back to this question when I can just specifically focus on just that question, because to me, I could really make some really, really cool stuff like Ray Leon. I would honestly also snag Mandy Leon, not because of their last name, but because I could really do some really cool stuff with her. I know right off the bat. Yeah, there's a lot I could do. So I think I would rather just focus on that question on its own video, on its own time, because there is so much I could do. Another person asked me, when was my last wrestling match? I think my last full-fledged wrestling match was at Lucha Patron against the feisty Filipina Nina. I was one of her first matches in the US when she came over from the Philippines. Let me see here. Someone last week asked me this and we didn't have time, so I'm going to end on this question before we head on in the podcast. They asked me, I am traveling for the first time. Do you have any advice? Well, I'm assuming you're traveling outside of the United States. I'm just going to make that assumption. It sounds like you are, which is really, really awesome. Congratulations. Here are some things that I would suggest. Number one, make sure you have the right type of adapters and equipment for wherever you're going, because not everybody uses the same outlets for electronics. Another thing is I would make sure I researched wherever I'm going. Different countries have different laws, and there are things that you might not think of. Like in a certain country, they can imprison you for spitting. Another country, it is illegal to be publicly intoxicated, and they can like literally beat you to death. You know, the littering is against the law in certain countries and so forth. So definitely research where you're going so you know the proper etiquette, you know the laws and the rules, so you can't be taken advantage of or make a detrimental mistake that could affect the rest of your life, because that would be tragic. Another thing I would say is take a picture of your luggage prior to checking in and putting it in the baggage drop-off, because if anything happens to your bag, you're actually, if you have proof of what it looked like beforehand, a lot of airlines are actually required to refund you that money for your bag. Another thing I would say is take a photo of your ticket with the barcode, so then you don't have to worry about holding onto your ticket. You can just have it on your cell phone. Which brings me to my next point for traveling. And this is even in the United States, but it sounds like you're also going out of the United States. I do not use the outlets that are offered at airports, because there's actually been many, many cases where those have had viruses and bugs put into them. I don't exactly know how they do that. But basically when you put your outlet in, it actually connects up into your phone, and they take all kinds of data and personal identifying information and all kinds of things away from you. And they can even get into certain apps and banking stuff, whatever you're doing on your phone. And then you end up with like a virus on your phone and a bunch of your identity taken and stuff. So I actually always bring my own chargers. I have on my keychain, I have a USB charger that can charge anything I want that has a USB plug. And then I also bring 1 or 2 other chargers as well. What is it, RFB or whatever that blocks people from getting your credit card information and stuff. I have one of those wallets that also has, it's also battery powered, so I can charge anything from that. And then I also have another keychain one that's a solar powered one, and that charges up to 2 devices at a time. So I always bring those 3 things with me when I am traveling. That way, you know, in case I'm delayed or whatever, I can protect myself by always having access to clean, you know, non-virus charging stations and stuff like that. I also bring extra cash with me. And then I also find ways of taking photos of what's in my bag, so in case anything is ever stolen from my bag. Another thing I always make sure I do is I always bring a snack of some kind, so then I don't end up overspending on things at the airport. So those are some things that I would definitely advise. And also, I don't answer certain questions when I am traveling and sitting next to someone. Like I never say if I'm traveling alone. I never say exactly what I'm doing or where I'm going, so that way I cannot be tracked. And another thing I would say is if you're going on vacation, do not post on your social media that you were on vacation, because then you're more likely to have your house broken into, so forth and so on, because you never know who's friends with who, right? And then another safety tip is always post your vacation photos after you were gone. You know, this is how Kim Kardashian actually got mugged at gunpoint, was because she posted on where she was going to be, and then she got found that way. So a good rule of thumb is never post about being somewhere until after you're gone. There's many more tips, but I think those are some main ones for sure. All right, everyone, this has been the latest Q&A with Taeler Hendrix on the Talks with Taeler Hendrix podcast. Remember, if you want to get in on all the fun of the fan interactions with me answering your questions from YouTube, here's what you're going to want to do. For your chance to be featured on this podcast and Q&A Wednesdays on my YouTube channel, head on over to youtube.com/@TaelerHendrix. You're going to subscribe to that channel, scroll down until you find the latest Q&A Wednesday video, hit the thumbs up, and then comment